2025-2026, where we're going to go in depth concerning the key priorities of the nations that are shaping the economic trajectory for Uganda to becoming a $500 billion economy by 2040. Now, joining me tonight, I am not alone on stage. I have an official from Ministry of Finance, that is Mr. Ali Tagle, the Assistant Commissioner for Budget Policy and Evaluation Department, who will be giving us in-depth insight and expertise concerning these key priorities and also policy decisions that are impacting the economy at large, but also Ugandans. A very good evening, sir.
Good evening.
You're very welcome on Race TV.
Thank you.
We are very excited to have you tonight so that you can explain to us some of the key issues that Ugandans have, have as questions in the economy. But before we go into the discussion, you could introduce yourself to the viewers and just say a very good evening.
Good evening, our dear viewers. My name is Tagle Ali, working with Minister of Finance as Assistant Commissioner Budget Policy and Evaluation Department, which coordinates the national planning and budgeting process.
Okay, so Mr. Tagle.
Yes, please.
Could you just give us a guiding light concerning the budget allocating process of the national budget 2025-2026?
Thank you. Ideally, before even we start with allocation of the budget, we start with having a framework,
okay,
which we call the National Planning Framework,
okay,
which is now the National Development Plan. Okay, it starts with the Vision 2040.
okay.
Then the Vision 2040, we come up with the 5-year National Development Plans. Now, the 5-year National Development Plans inform the annual budget process. Now, that 5-year National Development Plan is disintegrated further into what we call Program Implementation Action Plans. Those plans detail what somebody is going to do and how much to require. However, because it is a long-term plan, the assumptions cannot hold every year. So we subject it to an annual planning and budgeting process.
Okay.
So how do we do it? You know, the owner of the budget is the president,
okay,
of this country. So we start with preparation of a budget strategy. So we do comprehensive consultation with the president on what he wishes to achieve,
okay,
or to deliver to the citizens in the following financial year.
The vision bearer.
Yes.
Okay.
He guides, because for us we are technocrats, we work on his behalf. So he guides on where he wants the country and the citizens to be. And then once we finish consultations with him, we now expand the scope of the people to be consulted. So we organize what we call the National Budget Consultative Workshop. Normally, sometimes we are at Kololo. I don't know whether you as a media practitioner have ever covered it.
We are nobody.
In some instances, we go to Munyonyo. Yes, depending on the activities going on around. So we consult with development partners, we consult with district leaders, we consult with the central political leaders, we consult with the civil society, a diversity of stakeholders to ensure that the priorities that we come up with are all inclusive. Now, once that is done, we fine-tune that paper based on the input from that audience. We go to the districts, we organize what we call local government consultative workshops. Normally that one starts around September. Actually, between September and 15th October, you may not be able to get us. We shall be up country. So you're welcome to do the coverage. Okay. So at that, during those consultative meetings at the local government, we cluster them by region. We have the northern, we have eastern, western. So like a central, we converge in Masaka there, we collect the discourse around that area. The political leaders, cultural leaders, religious leaders, opinion leaders, civil society, diversity of stakeholders to ensure that all the people are given a chance to provide input to the budget. Now, once that is done, we come back and prepare what we call a budget framework paper. So that paper is again submitted to the president. The president submits now to cabinet. Once cabinet has approved, then we send to parliament. Now, parliament, before it approves that budget, we have at parliament what we call sector committees. You have a committee for health, you have a committee for education, you have a committee for works. So those committees invite the relevant ministries to explain to them what they are planning to do in the following financial year. They defend whatever they are planning to do, and then the members of parliament also provide the input because they are closer to the people. So once that is done, the committee's chairpersons present. When those reports are approved, they are sent now to us with recommendations. So there we look at our resource envelope, the money available, and we try to the extent possible to accommodate those requirements. Then once we have agreed on what to take on, because it is not possible to take on everything. Remember, we finance the budget through taxes, we finance the budget through borrowing. So we avoid taking on too much so that we borrow too much, and we avoid taking on too much so that we overtax you to finance those things. So we take on what we can handle, but not inconveniencing you as well. So then we issue again a circular, communicate to the people the second resource, because the budget framework paper is prepared based on the preliminary first resource. It normally comes out in September, but the second one will come out around Jan, Feb, around there. So they prepare what we call ministerial policy statements, and then again they go through the same. So those statements are presented. We present to the president the draft estimates, which move together with the ministerial policy statements. President approves, rather cabinet, and then we forward again to parliament. It goes through another second level of scrutiny. Then the committees again present the report to parliament. Parliament approves, they bring to us again with another level of recommendations. But at that point, they advise us on looking at other emerging priorities that we should take into consideration to drive the country forward. So then we use those recommendations. Again, we engage Uganda Revenue Authority. We engage the people in charge of mobilizing resources externally and domestically, that is through borrowing. They advise us on how much we can get, and then we communicate another resource. Then at that level, people prepare what you call now the final draft estimates. And so that draft estimate goes to parliament, and again it goes through another level of scrutiny. The only difference is that after that level, once the committees submit to parliament, the budget is approved, and then parliament produces a bill, what we call an appropriation bill. Then that bill goes to cabinet, rather to the president for assent. Like the one for 25-26 is now before the president for assent, but he has not assented. Okay, so now, of course, we know that the budget is has been estimated to be around approximately 72 trillion Ugandan shillings. Yes. For Ugandans who have not been following, who are not sure of which is a priority, key priorities for the government, could you just enlighten us? What are the key priorities for the government? What has been identified as priority for the government to spend on in this financial year? Yeah, thank you very much. You know, have you ever heard of the acronym ATM? Yes. You've ever heard of it? Yes. Okay. So, you know, we have a very tough target. But of course, as public officers, we have to support the president, deliver that commitment. The president, in his wisdom, said that Uganda has the potential, but we have not optimally exploited that potential. And the reason why we're not exploiting the potential is because we are having low-hanging targets. So he said, I want you to do all what it can to ensure that this economy expands tenfold from an average of 50 million US dollars, where we are now, to 500 billion US dollars. Now, what are those areas where we have a comparative advantage with untapped potential? Now they are the ATMs. agro-industrialization. You've heard him saying that we have donated to the rest of the world for so long, because you get a kilo of coffee here, you export in raw form, those people add value, they bring it back here, and you buy it over 10 times the amount you earned. So now he said, no, why should we keep on donating at the same time we're borrowing from the same people? Let us focus on agro-industrialization so that we add value to what we produce to earn more, to minimize waste. Do you know that there are instances where people were pouring milk? You have the cows, you are milking, you get a lot of milk, but the local market cannot absorb it. And then you end up pouring. Now we have value addition industries. We are producing yogurt, we are producing powdered milk, which we are exporting. A number of products are being produced. Matoke.
Powdered matoke.
Matoke. Some time back, we used to buy matoke from the West. You would get a bunch of matoke at 4,000. Reason being, the supply was exceeding the demand. And so you either allow the thing to decompose or you give it at a giveaway price. Now we have a value addition facility under the PBD project, Presidential Initiative on banana. They now dry that banana, and in some cases they produce flour. Okay. Yes. So we have minimized waste on that, but we have also improved the earnings from the agro produce. So, and many more. You've heard about the Ntungamo coffee factory, which we are supporting.
Yeah.
We want now to export value-added coffee so that we stop.
Not coffee beans.
Not coffee beans. So that's now the concept around agro-industrialization. Now, tourism. You know, we have been to the West. Their tourism is doing so well, but do you know what people look at? Concrete buildings. All they've done is to document history about those buildings. That's what we do. They take you to a stream, but that stream has water which looks like your water here in Nachivubo Channel. You get it? But we have Lake Victoria with very clean water. But those people there, we were in India one time. They took us to a stream, and people are lining up, by the way, to sit on a boat, to float on that water. But people have documented the history about flora and fauna along with that one stretch. The man makes sure that he talks from the time the boat sets off to the time you come back. And you all come back smiling. We have toured.
You have had an experience.
Exactly. So, given the natural endowment we have, the flora, the fauna, the mountains, the animals, the birds, and everything, we are focused on tourism. We get about 1 million tourists, slightly above 1 million tourists, and we get 1.something billion out of that. But the bottlenecks have been on infrastructure, tourism infrastructure. So now we are focusing on tourism infrastructure, but also developing the tourism products. We have a lot of tourism sites that are just underdeveloped, and we miss the opportunity. Source of the Nile. We have been looking at the stone which was laid at a spot where the discoverer stood, and that's where we stop. Now they want to expand it beyond that, so that we attract more people, we have enough income for those sites. You go to Rwenzori, the mountain climbing. People have been hustling through the rocky terrain. Now we are trying to look for a possible of making it a little bit modern, so that people hike up there, but with less minimal difficulties to accommodate all. You come to minerals. Uganda is endowed with minerals underground there. Now the major issue has been discovery and quantification, but as well as value addition. I think you are seeing what is happening in Hoima. Yes, we are adding value. We are looking at gold. In Karamoja, we have a lot of rocks there. which are used in the manufacture of cement. We are supporting Toro Cement to expand its production lines to Karamoja, so that we create jobs for the Karamojong and also expand the community, rather the welfare of those people. That is for minerals, and many more minerals that we are looking at. But like I said, we are doing the quantification, the discovery, and then we set up the value addition facilities. The other one, which is now science. You know, science is a global problem solver, because it looks at new ways of doing the same thing by you use less but achieve what? More, but also be able to simplify business processes. You've heard about our Kira.
Yeah.
We are assembling electric buses.
Yeah.
And our plan is to expand and produce more to supply beyond Uganda, but to East Africa and to the rest of the world.
And concerning that same point that you've just shared,
yes,
what are we going to do about the mindset change of Ugandans with a fear of using their own when it comes to technology?
You know, the most important thing is affordability. We want to make sure that our products are affordable to the people, but also we are doing aggressive awareness creation. We've just concluded the Science Week. You saw the Minister of Science, Honorable Msenero. They were showcasing what we have so far achieved. So we shall do, you know, marketing is a very complex assignment. So we shall do aggressive awareness to ensure that people love their country. There is a full section under Office of the President, which is now tackling issues of patriotism, to encourage our people to love our country, to love our products.
Okay.
Because once you appreciate that the moment you buy a foreign product, you are donating at the expense of you contributing to your own economy, then you learn and get the motivation to support your own. I give you an example. Initially, those days, people would travel long distances looking for a shop owned by an Indian. But then people realize, but no, what about this Ugandan who is trying to struggle? Should we just leave him struggle until he collapses? No. So nowadays, people look for what they want. Wherever it is, they will buy it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just in a few minutes, could you just identify for us some of the key strategies, like around 2 key strategies?
Yes.
That will address the key challenges of poverty reduction, also unemployment, all that will help in job creation.
Okay. Actually, as you address employment, you are addressing poverty. So when it comes to unemployment, you know, we have a very young population, like you saw from the recent statistics, that about 50% of the population is youth. Now, you know what we are looking at is promoting industrialization. We have established industrial parks in various parts of the country. So, and we are putting all the requisite infrastructure. We normally describe them as fully serviced industrial parks. So you put their electricity, you put their water, you put there the roads. Then we attract the investors to come and put up facilities there, the industries. That is in line with our import substitution strategy, because we want to minimize sourcing things from abroad. We want to produce our things here. So we have brought in a number of investors. We have in Namave, a lot is being done there. You go to Mbale. Have you ever got a gin from Mbale?
A gin?
Yes.
Not yet.
Yeah, we have a factory which is producing gins.
I should travel to Mbale.
So you should travel to Mbale and get a Ugandan made gin.
We might even be buying them.
You go to Kapeka. One time if you have a trip, just go to Kapeka there. There's a factory producing travel bags. Very beautiful travel bags.
Okay.
And there are
Made
so many
out
youth
of cotton.
No. The normal materials, the plastic, but now done here.
Okay.
Yes, they are done here. Go here to find spinners, Bugorobi. Though recently we got hit when they suspended us from the US market. But we are using our cotton to produce cotton fabrics.
I've been there.
You saw the number of ladies employed there.
Yeah.
Yes. So ideally, that's the strategy. It is industrialization, and it is organized industrialization through establishment of well-serviced industrial parks. Then we mobilize the investors. And so to along that line, we have supported our missions. We are supporting our missions in phases with resources for, we call it ECD, Economic and Commercial Diplomacy. Their work is to market Uganda. Market Uganda, tell them about the opportunities we have, tell them about the incentives we have, then they come and they do the things here.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Tagle. Ali, Assistant Commissioner for Budget Policy and Evaluation Department in Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development here in Uganda. Of course, we are continuing with the Financial Eye, where we are enlightening you about the policy decisions and how they impact the economy, more so the Ugandans at large. So stay tuned on Race TV. We're going for a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
The Financial Eye, making finance clear, no complicated.
Dad!
Welcome back on the Financial Eye, where we enlighten you what is happening in the economy of Uganda. And now tonight with me is Mr. Ali Tagle, the Assistant Commissioner for Budget Policy and Evaluation at Department and the Ministry of Finance, as we're trying to analyze the key priorities in the National Budget 2025-2026. And now in this second phase, Mr. Tagle, we're going to discuss more concerning the Wealth Creation Program.
Yes.
Of course, there are various initiatives under the program, but we need to expound more on what people really want to understand. The most famous one that is being talked about every time you get out of a marketplace, you in the village, you will hear the parish development model. It has been ongoing.
Yes.
What are some of the key challenges you've had in implementing this program, and what is the progress so far? Could you just enlighten us? How far has the government moved towards implementing this program or this fund?
Okay, thank you, Jackie. At the time we started PDM, the target was to elevate 39% of the Ugandans out of the money economy. The president has always used the...
Out of the subsistence?
No, out of the money economy. Now those are people in subsistence economy, but he normally calls them the people who work for the stomach.
Okay.
You produce for consumption. So those comprise about 39%. And because people used to that money used to go through microfinance support center, but the processes were cumbersome. So he listened to the voters. Then about 3 years ago, he said, no, this money should go to the beneficiary direct. So we had about 10,000 parishes. And it was a requirement that all the 10,000 parishes form what we call a parish circle. And every parish is entitled to 100 million every financial year until the president says stop giving them. So as of now, we have so far issued, I think, about 3.3 trillion out there to benefit the wananchi directly.
Okay.
The enterprise selection, you decide the enterprise where you feel you have a comparative advantage. We do not have any conditionalities. If you are making local brew, feel comfortable, you tell them.
So it's not only for the farmers?
No, not for farmers.
Okay.
No. As long as somebody identifies an enterprise where he has competency and where he has the expertise to multiply that 1 million and earn more, we give you.
So the 1 million is given annually to the household?
Ideally, the requirement is that every household must get. So the first phase is to ensure that all households do what? Get. So you can do the recycling if you have saturated the entire parish population. But the parish gets the 100 every year to ensure that every parish gets.
Okay.
Yes.
So now many Ugandans out there are being confused between Emyoga and the parish development model. Could you just give us the difference?
Between Emyoga and the parish development model? Emyoga is for people who are already running. As in people who have something to do. Okay. So it covers
an establishment.
Yes, somebody has something that is running but has financial constraints. Let me give an example. You may have a tailor. A tailor has a lot of potential. That tailor may be surrounded by schools or maybe around schools. But then the schools have the opportunity for making school uniforms. But they are telling that tailor, we can only pay you on delivery. But the tailor does not have the capacity to produce the uniforms and take to the school so that she's paid on delivery. So you run to Emyoga. Get the money, you buy the material, make the uniforms, go to the school, deliver, get paid, take back, so that other people can use it. We have restaurant owners. Somebody can have a restaurant. You may have been dealing in local foods, but you want maybe to diversify with the fast foods. You want an oven, you can run to a myoga, you get the oven. You want to deal in soft drinks, you don't have a refrigerator, you can run to a myoga, you get a refrigerator. So ideally it supports running enterprises. So we have produce dealers, restaurant owners, tailors, market vendors. Yeah, if you have somebody with a store there in Owino struggling, Central Kudembe, just link. Boda riders, saloon operators, mechanics. Do you know those mechanics? The world has become so digitalized that right now you don't have to waste time to dismantle the entire car to tell where the problem is. So you may be a mechanic, but you lack a diagnostic machine. So instead of wasting people's time dismantling the entire vehicle, go and borrow, buy the machine, so that when I bring my car, plug in, and the machine tells you this is what the problem is. So ideally, now with the PDM, Parish Development Model, these are people who are not anywhere.
I have the potential
yes,
to be
the
a
capital
fish
they
farmer.
have is the good health. Yeah? You have the good health,
And the skill.
you have the able body, you have the skill, and the opportunities around you. Now what you want is capital to enable you exploit those opportunities around you. So it is now up to you to look around where you are and identify the opportunity that you can comparatively exploit and earn a living.
So still expounding concerning the parish development model.
Yes.
During the national budget address by the president,
recently,
he cited about the farmers in Chisoro, the onion farmers in Chisoro, who got their initial capital of 1 million Ugandan shillings, and in 2 years they of course multiplied the money to about 16 million to 20 million.
Yes.
And they are giving their success story. But then there was a category of over 3,000 farmers who were not included in accessing the parish development model fund because they were identified as rich. They owned assets, vehicles, so they told them, you're not entitled for this money.
Yes.
So can you just explain to us what is the eligibility criteria
for
accessing the PDM?
Yeah, you know, in most cases, whereas PDM is aimed at elevating the 39% from the subsistence to money economy, when we are selecting those people, we don't look at money. We don't come and ask you whether you have money or not. No. The major issue we look at is the general poverty status. Now, when we are measuring poverty, we don't look at only money. We look at, number one, the housing condition.
It's a standard of living.
Yeah, the standard of living. We are looking at the property you have. Like you said, somebody with a car, that 1 million can be for fuel for him to do other things. So there you cannot. You look at general health of the people, the quality of the children you have, the family generally. So ideally it is the well-being of that household. It goes beyond the money. Now we have what we call the poverty index. So we look at all of those variables, attach weight, and then come up with that index which tells us whether, rather which percentage is within the what? Below the poverty line.
Okay.
So now when you have, for example, a good house, you have a car, you have a farm, there we do not consider you as somebody who is poor. Nonetheless, all of these wealth funds you are seeing here are aimed at catering for all categories. So this person who missed PDM just didn't know where to go.
Okay.
Yes. There is also room for those people who are at some levels. For example, UDC, they support agro sector.
Could you just explain to the people
Yes.
what UDC is?
UDC is Uganda Development Corporation, and then we have UDB, which is Uganda Development Bank. Both of them support the agro sector and the manufacturing, but what differs is the way we support. Now, for UDC, for us to support you, we partner with you. For UDB...
So when you partner, we split up the profits?
Exactly, because we buy shares.
Okay.
Yes, we buy shares in your farm and we support you. Then for UDB, you borrow.
At a lower
price.
Interest.
Yes. Currently, recently, we introduced an interest-free grant for commercial farmers.
Is it out
which
of,
is under?
Has it run out?
Under UD, yes, under UDB.
Has it expired?
No, it is still valid. Interest-free.
Interest-free to who?
Commercial farmers. Like those people are talking about. If somebody has a farm producing milk and you want to add value to your milk, just run to UDB, get money, they will support you. You start adding value to your milk. You make a yogurt, ice cream, and sell. So that is it. The person did not know where to go. All those categories are catered for.
Okay, earlier on you spoke about agro-industrialization as being a priority, key priority to the government in terms of resource allocation in this next financial year.
Yes.
Could you just explain to us, because many Ugandans have opportunities around them, but they do not know where the opportunities are. For example, the agriculturists who want to become commercial farmers. What is the agriculture credit facility? And of course, you've explained the Uganda Development Bank capitalization, the Uganda Development Corporation. Now, how are the two different from the agriculture credit facility? Or are the institutions doing the credit facility?
Now, agriculture credit facility, this is a facility which was set up in 2009 by this government in partnership with commercial banks and micro deposit taking institutions as well as credit institutions. So, but is administered by Bank of Uganda. Now, that facility, when it is partnered with these banks here,
the commercial banks,
they do what we call a match. They do a match. If somebody wants, for example, a loan of 80 million, the bank gives you a certain portion, and then under credit facility, you do a top up. So the difference is under SCF, it is interest free. It is interest free. Agricultural facility, it is interest free. Then the bank can do a top up and you agree on the terms there. But it normally supports people engaged in agriculture, agro processing, and grain trade majorly. Okay. Yes. So the banks receive the applications from the clients, but the final decision is made by Bank of Uganda because they do the matching. So the only challenge we're encountering is that some banks prefer to market their own products because this one has an interest-free component. That's the major challenge we are facing. Our clients have raised it. But government is looking at, of course, you've heard recently about the evolution of Post Bank to a commercial bank. Yeah. So we are looking at developing our own, and we channel such interest-free support to farmers and other Ugandans through our own.
Okay.
Yeah.
So concerning the national budget 2025-2026.
Yes.
What are some of the projected challenges that have been identified by the government even before the implementation process? And what are the measures that have been set apart to mitigate these risks?
Thank you very much. You know, of course, major our challenges, one, rotate around the financing, but also around the implementation and then the prioritization during implementation. So In terms of financing, like I told you earlier, we get money from tax revenue, which is collected by Uganda Revenue Authority. But also we borrow some from out, and we borrow a certain percentage from here, from our own economy. Now, the first risk is failure to realize what you have projected to collect. Because remember, Parliament has approved the budget. Everybody knows we have a 72 trillion budget, and that budget is split across the sectors. So the beneficiary community, the political leaders, they are looking at that figure there. Now, the major risk we have is failure to collect that revenue. Majorly due to, we have like now the ongoing global conflicts. You know, whenever there's turbulence out there, because like I told you, we are looking at export promotion. When there's turbulence out there, that means our market may to a certain extent be affected. And so the projected income from the export gets affected. But at the same time, we also earn from the import. When there's turbulence out there, remember we import in foreign currency. In one way or the other, our currency may be affected. So when the value of our currency is low, because we are not exporting, then that means whoever is bringing in has to pay more Ugandan shillings to bring in the goods. So ideally, number one, we are trying as much as possible to undertake extensive tax education so that we promote voluntary compliance. Okay. Number two, the government is supporting the private sector. All of these grants we are talking about, UDB, UDC, Myoga, PDM, agricultural facilities, small business recovery, we want to support you so that by the time we come to knock at your door to pay tax, at least you have the potential to pay. We are opening up the infrastructure so that wherever somebody is, as long as producing something, that commodity is able to move from wherever it is produced to access the market. You've seen the roads. Yes. We also avoided, to the extent possible, introduction of new taxes. So what we are doing is improving on the current tax administration systems. Okay. Bridge the gaps and collect what is projected from that source. Now, when it comes to the external, the major risk we normally encounter is escalating interest rates. Because when we borrow at expensive rates, that means we encroach more on our local revenue to service those debts. So now, the strategy that we have put in place is to ensure that what we borrow goes for high impact projects. Okay. High impact projects. Meaning I borrow, put in that project, it has a higher multiplier effect on the economy, so I don't feel difficulties in returning the money. So I did that's how. Then issues of course we have, you know, we are agro-based economy. We have issues with the climate, the weather. Within our budget there, we have a project to support farmers to acquire micro irrigation schemes so that we are climate resilient. Most of our farmers have been relying on nature. When it rains, you harvest. When it shines, you lose. So we have in their support for micro-scale irrigation schemes, farmers get at affordable rates and you irrigate so that you minimize reliance on nature. Okay. Yeah.
So as we discussed, you reminded me of the Small Business Recovery Fund.
Yes.
I know it was a fund that was set apart for those businesses that have been affected by economic shocks. For example, the COVID-19.
Yes.
Is it still available? And who is eligible? Because if you say small businesses, the businesses out there that were affected by COVID-19 that are wondering, is that money still available, and am I eligible to actually tap into it now? And the fact that I've just had it on TV.
That money is still available. But in terms of eligibility, you must have an enterprise with an investment of about 100 million.
About?
100 million.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only bottleneck.
So that's small business.
But there should be evidence that you were affected by. So in other words, you must have been in existence at the time of COVID.
So when you say evidence, could you just enlighten to us? Because should I have to show that my
registration documents? Because every business has to be registered.
In terms of returns,
we look at trade certificates, those trading licenses, income tax certificates.
So it's also...
So you must have been in existence during the COVID time, but also you must be a registered business.
So the fund is like other funds, like,
it's like
access the money and return it back to government.
Return it back to government, yeah.
Okay, for Uganda.
Do you know why we came up with these funds? People were complaining about the high interest rates
in the commercial banks.
In the commercial banks. That's why we came up with these funds, so that you get them at interest free. But down there, now like for PDM, government gives you interest free. But within your circle there, you can agree at your level how much to mark up to be able to run the operations of the circle. But for us, this side, the way you pick it is the way you bring it. You will take 1 million, what you want is 1 million.
Maybe last but not least, could you just give us a briefing about the Grow initiative for the women out there, especially those who are watching us right now? Who is eligible for Grow? What is Grow? Do I just wake up and say I want some money from the government because I'm a woman, or do I have to have some requirements from government?
No, ideally, Grow is specifically for women in business.
Okay.
But that business must be registered. It must be known.
With a trading license?
Yes, because the major challenge we have is informality. So we want you to be known within the place where you operate, but also known by the relevant institutions that register businesses, so that you are traceable.
Okay.
Yes, so it must be owned by a woman or women, but that business must be registered. But more or less, it's like the myoga, because it is not so stringent on what to support.
When you say owned by a woman or women, what if we are 3 women, but there is a man? It's a partnership of like 5 people and there is a man inclusive. Am I still entitled, or now we are not eligible for that kind of fund?
There I think we may go at issues of now share capital.
Oh.
Because for example, if the man is there and the man is owning 80% of the share, then you cease to be you cease to be owners. Okay. Yes. Yeah, because the money may be there, but with the insignificant contribution. So we shall know it is owned by the woman.
Okay, just in a few words, could you say some remarks to the Ugandans out there?
Thank you, Jackie. The only message I give to the Ugandans is that 1, we should love our country. And therefore, we should prepare ourselves. You know, the budget has been approved by Parliament. Take the initiative to get information to the extent possible on what is in there that you can exploit and enhance your income. Opportunities are there. The major challenge we're encountering is ensuring that the community is prepared to benefit from them. Once you are not prepared, it will pass by you. Because these grants, all these opportunities in the budget are like rain. If it is raining, you may have a very good roof, but with no gutter to collect that rain into the container, it will flood at large. And then after 2 days, you'll have to walk long distances to look for it. So ideally, that is how the budget is. So All we need to do is to prepare ourselves to ensure that we tap the opportunities, we seize the opportunities in there. That's why I was telling you how you benefit from a myoga. Yes, you start your enterprise. Because we support people who have already moved. For myoga, we don't want people who have not moved.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. That is well said from Mr. Ali Tagle, the Assistant Commissioner, Budget Policy and Evaluation Department, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. And as always, I'm Jackie Lingla, updating you what is happening in the economy and making sure that you tap into the opportunities that the government of Uganda has brought forward to make sure that they plan for the economy and bring resources to the normal Ugandan out there watching us. So I'm Jackie Lingla. Till next time, every Monday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on the Financial Eye. Stay tuned. Good evening.
Thank you.
The Financial Eye. Making finance clear. No complicated terms. Just the